If you've been trying to silence your busy mind during yoga, you're setting yourself up for failure, even though the goal of yoga is yogas chitta vritti nirodha, which means to still the fluctuations of the mind. In this video, I'm breaking down the 5-step system that I use to train overactive minds to actually focus without fighting your thoughts on the mat. And you need to know this because if you're still fighting with your mind, you're going to end up quitting sooner than later. But it doesn't have to be this way. I'm 𝐸𝐸𝐸, but you can call me Sushi, and I grew up surrounded by yoga in India, learning from the masters, even here in Mysore, and I've spent over a decade just helping busy professionals and overthinkers like you discover how to actually reclaim this inner focus. So if you want to go deeper after this video, make sure to check out the link in the description below because my Yoga Mastery program is designed to help you build this exact skill. I give you daily practices, personalized guidance, and everything you need, a whole system to take your practice to the next level. But right now, stick with me all the way to the very end because when everything finally clicks, you'll experience this kind of focus that you didn't even think was possible for you. So let's dive right in. You see, when we think of yogas chitta vritti nirodha as the goal of yoga, we envision this kind of pristine, thought-free area where like birds chirp and angels sing and nothing's wrong and we're all calm and peaceful. And when our minds inevitably don't silence, then we end up just getting frustrated, we feel like failures, and we quit. If we think about it, our brains, this magnificent, complex organ, is primarily there to scan for danger. It's always on high alert and it's constantly assessing your environment for threats, it's constantly solving problems and even rehearsing future scenarios to keep you safe. And because it feels like this highly intelligent, vigilant security guard, it's always patrolling and it's always looking for potential issues. But in our modern culture, because of the constant stimulation that we're open to and the sense of urgency that everyone has over our time, we're left in this state where our brains can never truly just switch off and take a day off of work. So when we have to deal with this constant stream of thoughts, then when we come on the mat, we immediately think, oh my gosh, I'm just not good at this. My mind is too busy for yoga. Yoga is too slow and boring, and we quit. And this self-blame only adds a second, even louder layer of noise, and it's hard to focus on the pose or your breath when you're wrestling with your thoughts. So this perspective shift that I'm about to share with you today is going to transform your practice. So instead of trying to silence the mind, the goal for you, especially because you have a busy mind, should be to give it something better to do. Think of your attention like this little enthusiastic puppy. Now, this puppy is full of boundless energy, it just wants your attention, and it's always looking for something to chew on. So when you simply yell at the puppy and you say, sit down, be still, don't irritate me, I have other things to do, obviously, it gets more agitated, it gets confused because it doesn't understand what you're saying, and it starts barking and starts ripping apart your favorite pillow. But instead of yelling at the puppy, because that obviously only produces more chaos and more resistance, what if instead you gave it something meaningful to chew on, like a really satisfying chew toy? Suddenly, that same energetic puppy settles down, refocuses, and it may even wag its tail and look up at you and be like, ooh, can you give me a treat? Because that primal energy has been channeled. In the context of yoga, on your mat, this chew toy is the raw, present moment sensation that's inside your body. And every single time you get on the mat, it's this subtle, often overlooked data stream that's constantly flowing from your physical self. And this isn't about ignoring your thoughts. It's about providing your mind with a more compelling, more immediate kind of beneficial alternative. And when your mind is actively engaged in noticing the details of the way that your fingers are pressing down in downward dog or the way that your breath is flowing through your spine, it naturally has less bandwidth to worry about your to-do list. So let's start with the basics on how we can actually achieve this long term. The first step is just to clean your environment and set up your environment in a way that's actually conducive to your practice. So for most of us, practicing at home can seem like the most challenging thing. Maybe you have a noisy family, or you have young kids, or you have a tiny little apartment that feels like a shoebox. And I want you to see this as the first most challenging thing that you have to overcome if you want to practice yoga consistently. Because if you do this over a lifetime, you're not always going to have access to that fancy studio down the street. So accept that for right now, your environment and everything around you can't be perfect, but you've got to make it work. So just before you practice, perhaps communicate with your family that, this is your practice time and to not disturb you. Clean your environment, tidy up your space, a quick 10-minute, fix everything in your room. Or tell yourself, set yourself up in a way that's like lighting incense or creating this mood within yourself that feels like it's different from any other mundane, normal activity. And far too many people use this environment thing as an excuse, so I don't want you to be one of them. Make sure that you overcome this in simple ways, and once you've finished your practice, you can then deal with the rest of the mess in your life and in your environment. Step number 2 is to have constant and repeated mental state check-ins. So whenever you notice that you're wrestling with your feelings on the mat, you need to offer yourself this simple check-in. So each time you come back to Samastitihi after you've finished any of the standing poses, it's a beautiful opportunity to close your eyes and just pause. Just ask yourself 2 questions. Can I hear my breath in this moment? And what's happening on my face? Am I clenching my jaw? Am I doing something with my eyebrows? Just notice what's happening on your face and if you can actually still hear your breath. Now, these are your first disconnection warning signs that your mind has gone off into something else and your body's here still just moving through the poses. If you can't hear your breath or your face is tense, then that's your sign that you've gone external again and it's time to refocus and start again. So that was step number 2. Now let's move on to step number 3, which is to move twice as slow. So really, really slow. Even though our minds love speed and we love to rush through things because we've got so many things to do, it's almost like we're constantly rushing through things, trying to get to the next item on the to-do list so that we can go out and do more things and squeeze as much as we can into a day. And in yoga, this often means that we rush through the transitions between poses and we lose all of that meaningful potential in treating the yoga practice as this meditation in motion. And instead of doing this, what if we can actually deliberately slow things down? Whenever you're feeling super scattered, challenge yourself to go twice as slow. So whatever your movement you're doing, it doesn't matter. It's the same sequence every day. Just go twice as slow and think like you're moving through viscous honey. I want you to go super, super slow and feel every little detail. Because when you do this, when you pay attention to the details, you normally rush past this part, but now you're actually focusing on the little things and you can't zone out. You can't think of the next thing on your to-do list when you're moving this deliberately and you're giving a chance for your body to really experience each shape without rushing through it. And your mind then becomes fully absorbed in the present moment, in the mechanics of your body, and it stops feeling worried, feeling anxious. And I promise you, you will have some kind of breakthrough. Maybe it's super tiny. Maybe it's the first time your legs are lifting up, when you've been trying to do a headstand all year. Maybe you just notice that your breath is a little bit longer than usual. I don't want you to just dismiss this as, oh yeah, I just need to get to the next thing. Please, please, really celebrate this small win because this is what will keep you coming back to the mat. And that was step number 3. I hope you're keeping track because we're now on step number 4, which is to feel your breath. Now, our breath is, of course, the most immediate, always available anchor that we have to bring us back into the present moment. So even just focusing on the breath can seem like this abstract, hard thing to follow. So what I want you to do is make it super micro. The technique is, for the next 10 breaths, just pay close attention to the tip of your nose. So for the next 10 breaths, your sole job, your only job, is to feel the sensation of air moving through the nostril, just like you're a gatekeeper or you're like a watchman. And inhale, feel the cool air coming in, exhale, feel the warm air going out. And with each inhale and exhale, just feel the sensations of heat and cold. And when you do this for just 10 breaths and you do nothing but focus on the tip of your nose, your mind will definitely go, my nose feels stuffy, I don't know if I'm doing this right, this feels so pointless, I have so many things to think about and so many things to do, why am I wasting my time doing this? That's totally fine. Just don't get annoyed with yourself. Treat these thoughts like they're background music. If you're in a cafe and there's a radio playing in the background softly, although you can hear it, it doesn't take up your attention space, and you don't have to engage with it. It's just there in the background. So each time your mind wanders, I want you to gently, patiently bring it back to the sensations of the heat and the coolness through your nostrils. So that is step number 4. Just to recap, to make sure you're paying attention, step number 1 is to clean your environment and make sure that your immediate space feels conducive to the practice. Step number 2 is to constantly do mental check-ins to make sure you're not wrestling with yourself. So noticing if you're still connected with your breath or if your face is showing you something that you need to change. And then step number 3 is to move twice as slow as if you're moving through viscous honey. And step number 4 was to feel the breath in and out through the nostrils, just the heat and the cool. Okay, coming to the last and final one, which is to find a single point of focus. Now for each asana, I want you to just focus on one thing to improve or one thing to change. Don't try and fix the whole shape. Don't try and focus on multiple things. If you're in downward dog, just think of the way that your heels are pressing towards the floor. And if they're not pressing towards the floor, feel that sense of weightedness. Feel just the sensations in your heel. Now, what this does is it gives your busy mind a single task to do instead of trying to do everything perfectly all at once. And what you're doing here is you're actually training yourself to receive this internal feedback. So when your heels are not touching the floor and you notice, I feel like I'm creating some kind of self-judgment in myself, we've got to bring awareness to those parts. And by paying attention just to the heels for those 5 breaths, you're almost going from this place of, I don't know how to respond to this internal feedback that's coming through me, to actually being able to respond to it, to engage with it. So when you maintain this single point of focus, you're actually building that internal feedback loop. And I promise you, it's so valuable, more valuable than any teacher can actually give you, direct feedback, because you're listening to yourself. So if you're the kind of person that gets easily distracted during a yoga class, think of your yoga practice as kind of like doing bicep curls for your attention muscle. You don't get stronger by simply holding this big weight, right? On your lap for an hour, resting it like this. You get stronger through movement. You get stronger through that effort of lifting it. And when you do this with your attention muscle doesn't just get stronger by you never ever moving, staying perfectly focused and being like a rock. It gets stronger through that process of coming back. It gets stronger each time you redirect your attention back to the breath or back to a single part in your body. And because that moment is a mindful choice and you're choosing to focus on your body and focus on the internalized, practice, it's strengthening your capacity to choose where your attention goes. So don't get discouraged whenever you notice your mind wandering. Just think, oh my gosh, I've noticed it, and now it's time to return to this single point of focus, because that's where the real growth happens. And it means that you're actually practicing mindfulness through the asanas, not just wishing that you were, or doing different things and expecting the results for yoga to actually happen for you. So there you have it. These are the simple 5 steps to train your mind to focus on the mat without actually wrestling with your feelings and thoughts every time they come up. Just remember, your busy mind isn't your enemy. It just needs something meaningful to do, like a small, enthusiastic puppy. Now, if you found this video helpful and you want to take your practice deeper, I've created something super special for you. The Yoga Mastery Program actually gives you daily practices, personalized guidance, and a complete system that can help you build this attention muscle that we talked about. The link is right there in the description below to set up a call with me to see if you might be the right fit. But even otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you have any questions or any video requests for me, make sure to comment them down below. But even otherwise, I hope you have a lovely day ahead. Thank you so much for watching till the very end, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.